Hey everyone, before I kick off this next part, if you're wondering how I fixed my stars, go ahead and check out part 1.5. I went ahead and made a video to kind of fix the star shape and get rid of that center section and make it fully constrained. So that being said, also before I jump into this, if you guys are liking this content, don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe. Obviously, want to stay up to date and leave me a review on what you guys like about this and what you guys don't like about this, as well as future content that you want to see. So let's jump into this. So as you can see here, I have my sketch and my flag and everything in my flag. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go up and I'm going to extrude, and then I'm going to window extrude everything here. And I am going to set it to a thickness of 0.1. And the reason for that is we could go ahead and adjust everything later as always. So as you're seeing is I kept it in that initial scale of 1 by 1.9 and now a 0.1 thickness. But from here, what I'm going to do is my main goal is to add the waviness to my flag so that we can utilize that and create this shape and make a lot of different things happen with that. How I'm going to do that is I'm actually going to turn off my sketch and I'm going to go up here to the create form. From there, we're going to go ahead and create a plane. This is where you're going to want to make sure you're doing a 2-point rectangle in this case. And I want to make sure that I'm on top of my part. And from there, I am going to exaggerate this a little bit. Now, this is where I can adjust everything. So as you're going to see here is we're going to say this is -3 by -2. Again, these numbers aren't super important. Obviously, the negative versus positive is. We just want to make sure we're more than adequately bigger than our shape. One thing I also want to do is I don't want possibly 2 sections vertically. More lines here, guys, is the more problems you're going to have. But what I do want is I want to add in roughly, maybe 7 horizontal lines. And the idea is you're going to put some up, some down type of movement to create that wavy kind of blowing in the wind feel. So now that I've actually created the plane with the little individual sections, what I'm going to do is I'm going to edit form. And now I need to pick and choose what do I want to be up and down. So in this case, I am going to go through every other one, of course. And what I'm going to do is I'm either going to drag them up or drag them down. I would recommend dragging them down. As you can see, I actually cut everything into my part. So by dragging them down, you're going to notice I'm getting that wavy kind of shape to my profile. Now, another thing I could do here is once I hit OK, I could actually go back and add more vertical to these. So again, is what's going to happen here is this is going to stay tangent in these chains based off the profiles and the shapes that you guys are all designing, like yours truly is. And as you're seeing here is I can now drag that back up. The idea is we always want to kind of keep this within the confines of the body that we later plan to use, right? So now that I have that actual shape, I'm actually really happy with that. But what I want to do is I'm going to move this. So I'm going to go ahead and hit M on my keyboard and I'm going to click that face. And now I want to tilt it just a little bit because we don't want that flag necessarily waving in straight square kind of waves. We're actually offsetting this and kind of mitering it. And so that you guys can see we're still square to our body. We've just rotated the plane that we just drew and added that texture to. So now, last thing I got to do is I got to finish this form, and we're going to go in and we're going to split this body. So the body I'm going to split is the rectangle, and I'm going to use that shape that we drew to split that rectangle. We're going to go ahead and hit OK. Now, if you look over here on the left, we have a body, a surface, and another body. What I like to do is I like to click the stuff I want to get out of the way. So I'm going to click that top body, and I'm going to hit the letter V. I'm going to click that next body, again, hitting the letter V. And now, as you can see, we have a nice wavy kind of shape going on here. Now, if I go ahead and turn my sketch on, you're going to notice my sketch now is aligned to that wavy segment of what we're working on. So from here, there's a lot of things you could do, and you could pivot over to the cam side of things and actually project your tool path to that surface from this sketch. So this next part that I'm going to do is not necessary to go over to the cam side, like I said. But what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to do a split body here. And I just want to go for a little more realism and see what this is kind of going to look like as a final product. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick the body in the background. And then now when you split this up, it's going to seem a little weird because you can't really split everything up in once or else you'll error out. But I'm going to go through and I'm going to split my actual stripes out first. So let's go ahead and pick all of our stripes. And again, you can't do the outer edge because this rectangle is the same size, so there's nothing really there to split. So if I go ahead and hit OK, again, notice how sometimes you get some wild constraints and problems. Now that is happening because we haven't actually split anything inside here. So we hit that T intersection. So the first thing I may want to split is actually that rectangle. So again, as we're going to go ahead and pick our body, and then from here, I'm going to pick this rectangle. And when I hit OK, notice how it's actually cut that in the background. So it's now split that into two separate bodies. Again, now if I go back and split body again, you're going to notice that I can pick just this body, again, running down all these different stripes. It does get a little hectic in here, so being able to tilt things around, and if you have a space mouse, man, you are lucky because it will make some of this selection process easier. I prefer just a standard mouse and my middle mouse button due to my preferences. But as you can see, as we carry on, my flag now has that wavy shape. We also have the individual segments for each one of our actual stripes. So as you're seeing is if I'm going to go in here now and split body actually where those stars are, I'm going to get an error. And what this error is caused by is there's a conflict with that curved surface and everything we're trying to cut. So that being said, is sometimes it's easier to possibly slide back your timeline and see if you could do something at a different point. So before we actually split the main body, I would like to see is, can we split this entire thing where those stars are with more than one at a time? So that's going to be the trick here is it possible to actually split one body with that other profile all in one shot? And in this case, it's not. So we're erroring out. So my options at this point would be is to split that body based on each individual star one at a time and rinse and repeat this clicking pattern, which is not the best of things in my opinion. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to change my design up here a little bit. Again, this is partially because I don't want to spend a ton of time on this. I would recommend that if you are doing this, splitting this body each individual time might be beneficial. But let's just go ahead and do a simple extrude. And what I did there is I hit E on my keyboard to extrude. I'm going to go through and I'm going to pick each one of my stars. And what this is going to allow me to do is actually take them all down to the same depth. So if you actually wanted to inlay something here, this would be a good opportunity to do so. And then machine over it when we actually have that curvature to everything going on. In my case, I'm just going to create some pockets here, all the same depth. So this will take me a moment. While I'm doing this, I always like to remind people, it's always great to hit a like on that video if you enjoy this content and want to see more of it. However, we now have all of our profiles. I'm going to look at this from the top. We're going to go ahead and drag this out just a little bit. And again, on the cam portion, for some of you asking out there, we're actually going to cam this a couple of different ways. But as you can see, I could go ahead and inlay all those star profiles. So if we go ahead and turn off that sketch, I now have all my stars extruded down into my part. However, all of the actual stripes are considered their own individual pieces. So again, if you're going to rip some of these pieces out on a table saw and strictly only CNC router this piece, there's a lot of possibilities for what you want to do. So one more thing I'm going to do before I actually let you guys go is let's go ahead and add a couple appearances to this. And what that's going to allow me to do is actually create a nice color scheme and see what this is kind of going to look like a little bit more. So now you do have the ability to pick your own colors, of course. So I'm going to go ahead and have my red. And of course, you know, you always start with red. We're going to end with red. So let's go ahead and put my red on here. From there, we're going to go ahead and add, oh, we went ahead and add the wrong one. So we're going to go ahead and switch that back. And there is all my red. All I'm doing is dragging and dropping these from my categories. So I need my blue. I need to go ahead and download that. So let's go ahead and download that color blue. And now I have my color blue for the background of all my stars. But here's one thing you're going to notice is because it's the bodies up here at the top, it colored the entire body here. So again, I'm going to Control Z to back that up a little bit. I'm going to go back in with appearance. And again, we're going to go ahead and grab that blue. And then what I'm going to do is I only want to put blue on certain faces. So now this time when I click that face, as you can see, I applied that blue color to strictly that face. Again, we could go down, get our gloss white enamel here. I'm going to add that to my color palette. And again, we could go through and place that white color. Although it's not changing by much until we tilt our way out, you can see how it is changing individually on each one of those stripes. Again, I could have went through here and actually did all those stars too, but I think you all are starting to get the idea and starting to see how easy it is to kind of create that American flag with that wavy kind of profile to it. And I'm going to go ahead and let you guys go, but for part 3, go ahead and check out how we're going to do the cam on this part.